Hey, Gnomies. You hungry? I'm feeling a little peckish myself. So let's cook something yummy. Alrighty, Gnomies, we have got 4 cups. I like to use plain. Back up to a burl and dissolve them down there. Voila! Look at them beauties. Look at them, aren't they? Very much higher boiling point. Oh, yummy and creamy inside and delicious. Okay, we better put the lid on. You ready? Let's go. Alright guys, as you saw in the title, we're making a delicious dish called salt potatoes. Now, if you've never heard of salt potatoes before, you must not be from the New York area, especially around Syracuse.
Or an old salt miner from the turn of the century.
What am I talking about? Well, you're about to find out. Stick around.
Let's get together a few things we're going to need though first, Tom. Let's go.
Well, one thing we're going to need is some water. We haul water out here. So, let's head outside, because we got plenty of it. Plenty of it in the form of snow.
Nice, fresh, clean, freshly fallen. Let's go.
There you go. Pot of snow. Now, let's talk about using snow real quick. Alright, a little word of caution about using snow. As long as you're cooking with it and you're going to boil with it, it's going to be just fine. Another thing is, you want to make sure you don't live in a big urban area. If you live in the city,
You don't want to use snow.
if you live in an area where there's lots of traffic,
You don't want to use snow.
but out here where we are, you get a few pieces of sticks and twigs and stuff in there every once in a while. But we'll show you how to filter that out. As long as you're boiling it real good,
You can use it for coffee, cooking, and cleaning.
and when you're hauling water, snow is a blessing. Alright, let's get the fire going in the stove, because I'm hungry. Well, Gnomies, while this fire gets it going, I think it's a good opportunity to stop for a second and talk about the history of salt potatoes. It's pretty cool. Located in south central New York, south of Lake Onondaga, are saltwater springs that naturally bubble up from the earth. The salt springs tap into what's called the Salina Formation. These springs travel upwards of 3,000 feet before they reach the surface. In 1654, a Jesuit missionary passing through the area wrote that he found these springs to be salty, and indeed we made salt from it. Salt as natural as that comes from the sea. The first salt production began in 1788, and it was recorded that a 15-gallon pot in 9 hours could produce 30 pounds of salt. By 1791, 8,000 bushels a year were being produced. That's over 400,000 pounds, Gnomies! Throughout the 1800s, a large population of working-class Irish migrated to America looking for a better life. They came here by the boatload. The majority of these working-class people after getting here spent their entire life savings, even going into debt, just for a chance at a better life. So a lot of them ended up settling in the port cities where they landed that were already pretty much overpopulated and not much work. And being the newest immigrants on the block, weren't very welcome in many places. Those that moved west found an abundance of work, digging the Erie Canal, which was completed in 1825. Upon completion, a lot of those who worked on the canal ended up settling along its banks. Many of them settling around the area that's now known as Syracuse. And by 1870, this area was producing 90% of the salt used in America. How did they move all this salt around? Well, the Erie Canal, of course, which was now known as the ditch that salt built. Why was it called that? Well, because the tax on salt paid off most of the debt of the construction that was left behind upon completion. Now, the fastest way to produce a bunch of salt is by boiling it. And in 1784, the first salt blocks were put in. These salt blocks held 150-gallon kettles surrounded by stone that were fired by wood or coal from the underneath side. And these salt blocks are where the salt potato was born. Because you see, where the working class Irish go, so go the potato. And what better way to cook a potato than in a large pot of salty water? Genius! This method of cooking potatoes became so popular throughout the area that in 1883 it started popping up on the menus of eateries and taverns all across the area. And with that being said, that's all I gotta say. Now, if you do want to learn more about this subject, I highly recommend the history guy. Get your googly googlers going. He does an awesome job, goes way in depth on this subject and so much more. Go check him out. We'll put a link down the bottoms. Let's get back to it, Gnomies. I'm really hungry now. Alrighty, Gnomies, we have got 4 cups of our snow water on the barrel here. All we did was melt down that big pot, run it through a strainer with some cheesy cloth, make sure there's no naughty bits. What's next? Add some salt. Now, I like to use plain. Lots of people use iodized. And using a recipe like this, I think you can taste the iodine in it. Most people can't. Whatever you like, that's fine. This is what I do. Alright, how much salt we gonna need? Well, the ratio is 3-to-1. And I got 4 cups of water in here. So I'm going to go ahead and put 1 1/3 cups of salt. Alright, Gnomies. Well, that's coming back up to a burl and dissolving down there. We got to head out to the garden and get some taters. Well, Gnomies, the chill is in the air. As you can see, the leaves are off the trees. Garden's about done. One thing left to do. We got taters. Oh, we got taters. When I say we got taters, we got them taken over the compost. Holy cow. I don't think we're going to eat taters out of this because there ain't no flowers. But, yeah, we got taters.
So we're gonna get some of these picked, and then we're gonna cook something.
Alright, you know how this goes. We got taters. What else we gonna need? One of those. How about a bucket? Maybe some of these bags. Once we pick these things, we gotta spread them out and let them dry out. We'll tell you all about that here in a little bit. Alright guys, we got 3 rows of taters here. 1, 2, 3. Most of these are the purple potatoes, but then we got a row of white ones back down over there. So let's see what we got going on here. Oh, in case y'all didn't know, you know the tater was in the tomato family. See these little guys right here? Sort of look like rotten cherry tomatoes. Well, they grow on the top of tomato. They grow on the top of potato plants and a part of the reproductive system. So this is the tomato portion of the potato plant that over thousands of years of selecting different ones, we now have tomatoes instead of these. By the way, don't eat these. They make you sick. Anyway, let's see. I want to pull one of these out while I got you here and see what we got going on. If we can see anything. Oh, might have to get. Uh-oh, that's not looking good. Might have to get the pitchfork out. I got these taters from the grocery store. Oh, yeah, we got taters. Unfortunately, I just spiked one. There you go. There's a purple potato. Let me try and be a little more careful here because we don't want to damage them. I saw some. They're down here deep. Oh, there we go. Alright. We're going to get you set up here, and we got a bunch of these. Oh man, they're all over. Time to get dirty, folks.
Well, we was cruising right along, getting our taters, filling the bag. We got about 10 pounds right in there, maybe a little bit more. And then that happened. Time to get a shovel. Alright, Gnomies, we got a new implement here. We're gonna try the shovel. See what we can find. Woohoo! Where'd it go? Oh, here's one. And another little one. Save all these little guys. There's another one. Alright, we gotta move on to the next row. We'll get you set up though.
Alright, we got a sack of there and a sack of there. Let's show you what we got to do next, huh? Alright, we're going to take these over to the smoker. And no, we're not smoking the potatoes, but we're going to put them in there to dry. There we are. Oh, we gotta do some cleaning up. Alright, Gnomies, basically what we're doing is we're gonna lay these taters out. Yeah, lay these taters out on this rack. Because right now they came out of the ground and they're super muddy. We don't want to wash them off. We want to leave that dirt on them, but we want them to dry. Not dehydrate, just dry. So let's get them all spread out here. And while we're doing that, we're going to check for any blemishes, because if they got any nicks or dings in them, they're going to make a whole batch go rotten. So we got to make sure we prevent that. And we're just going to eat them right away because they're perfectly fine. So here we go. Alright, there we go. One rack ready to go. I'm going to slide it in here and get another one going. Alright, there we go. 2 racks of taters so far. We got one more row to pick out in the garden, which will probably give us another rack and a half at least. And we'll check back on these in a couple days because it's going to rain and we got to get these shut up, make sure they stay dry. Or actually, make sure they dry out and stay dry so we can store them up and make some other yummies. That's coming up, so stay tuned. Voila! Look at them beauties. Look at them, aren't they so cute? Now that they're nice and clean, they're ready to go in the pot. Let's talk about the taters. These are nice, small, smooth skin taters. Now you want to make sure they got no cuts, no blemishes, no pokes. Don't poke these things. If you do, all that salty water is going to get inside of them. You don't want that. I'll tell you why here in a second. Now, you see that tater floating? That means you got enough salt in there. We're ready to go. We're just going to put the lid back up on there. Now, this is super salty water, so it has a very much higher boiling point. That's part of the key in making this recipe. Super high heat, lots of salt. And what the salt does, the salt makes a crust over the tater, seals all the goodness in the tater, keeps it from drying out, and when we're done, it's going to be the most creamiest, delicious tater you ever had in your entire life. I promise you. I wouldn't lie. All right, Gnomies. We got to bring this back up to a boil. Since it's such super salty water, it's going to take a lot longer to come up to a boil. It's got a higher boiling point with all the salt in there. But that's okay, because that's part of the key. The salt and the high heat makes these the most yummiest, delicious taters you ever want to see. Because what happens is, just as long as you make sure you got no nicks or dingy-dings in your taters, you'll get a nice crust on there. It's going to seal everything in there and be all yummy and creamy inside and delicious. Okay, we better put the lid on, start the timer after it comes back up to a barrel. Can you hear the simmering? Can you hear that? Can you hear it doing its thing? Oh my goodness, and the smell. Stir them up every once in a while. Just a little bit. Don't break them skins. Alright, Gnomies, it takes a while. But you get this back up to a nice little burl. Stir them around every once in a while. And set your time. Set your time. There we go. Now you already start to notice after a few minutes you got some salty swarming on there. Just stir them around every once in a while. You can hear them go sizzle, sizzle, pop, pop. You hear it? Alright guys, it's been 15 minutes. And here's where the magic happens. Keep an eye on them right there. See it happening? Alright guys, only one thing left to do. Dip it in a little butter. There you go. Let's have the first bite. What do you think? Alright, let me try some. Until next time. Never change things by fighting the existing reality. To change something, build a new model that makes the existing model obsolete.
I'm a Gnomie, he's a Gnomie, she's a Gnomie, you're a Gnomie, wouldn't you like to be a Gnomie?
Put your comment down on the bottom.
Click the subscribe down on the bottom. Click the like button.
Down on the bottom.
Make a comment.
Down on the bottom.
Peace out.